Three kids stumbled upon something in 1964 that nobody was supposed to know about. Let's take a look at what that was. At this airport, these three boys were here just dinking around in the middle of the night, I think in the evening hours, and they ended up stumbling across a plane landing here, and out of that plane came the Beatles. This is the Walnut Ridge Airport, and it's in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, and this is where the Beatles flew in on a vacation that they were going to take. They were going to spend about 2 days, not quite 2 days, relaxing on a dude ranch just north of here, about an hour north of here. And they it all took place right here on this where this fence line is. This building that you see in front of me here is actually the old terminal building, and so everything that happened right in front of this building, and the pictures that you see of them walking across the tarmac happened in front of this building. It's quite a historical thing to think that the four Beatles were here just as they were emerging and becoming the iconic group that they are. But it all happened right here in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas. We're going to take a drive up an hour north of here, and we'll show you the ranch that they stayed at. So let's go look at that. One thing I find that's really kind of interesting about this vacation that the Beatles took is that the pilot of this airplane, 2 years after they actually did their vacation, that airplane crashed and killed that pilot, and also killed a whole bunch of servicemen that he was ferrying from, I think, some location out west. And he actually crashed in Oklahoma, in Ardmore, Oklahoma. And the reason he crashed is he had a heart attack. And I read that where there was some kind of fraud going on with his medical license or his medical physical so that he could legally fly. And he had heart disease, and it had been kind of covered up. And I don't know how much truth there is to that. That's evidently what caused the plane to crash. Is they found out that he actually had a heart attack and crashed that plane. But I think it's odd to think that that's the plane the Beatles were on, and it was also the same pilot. And what if the circumstances were a little bit different, and the Beatles had been on board at that time? History would be definitely rewritten because of that. Well, after they left Walnut Ridge, they drove a little over an hour north into Missouri, and they came in on this road here. And they turned into this driveway, and this driveway leads up to the ranch that was owned by Reed Pigman Sr. And he was the pilot for their airplane, and he actually owned the airlines that they flew on. It was a charter airlines that he owned, and they spent 36 hours at this location riding horses and just playing cowboy and kind of dude ranch type stuff. This is actually a state park now. It's not open yet, but I think at some point it's going to be open to where you can actually go up and see the house. But that's the house that they slept in and stayed in. Now they, Reed Pigman, the pilot, he had a son that was I think about 12 years old at the time. Can you imagine a 12-year-old kid having the Beatles come and stay at your father's place? The pilot was actually, I think his airline was based out of Texas. I want to say it was based out of Fort Worth somewhere. But this is where they rode around. Just on the other side of this, probably about, I think a mile or so on the back side of this is a river that runs through here. And so they played in the river and just played cowboy for the entire time that they were here. And this was basically the only break that they had in their tour. They had done a concert in Dallas and had you know, a little bit of a break in between the New York concert that was like 2 days after that. So this is where they ended up coming, and just kind of a fluke thing. He asked them if they would like some time off, the pilot did, and they just jumped at the opportunity to get out here and play cowboy. So it's kind of a neat experience to think that the Beatles all spent time here. Now, the funny thing about it is when they left the airport, two of them flew into here. There was an airstrip in here, and there was a smaller plane they got on, and they flew into this actual ranch here. But Paul and I'm not sure, I want to say it's Ringo, didn't want to fly in that little plane, and they ended up flying or riding in a Suburban up here, a red Suburban. There's a guy that is in a town, I think about 30 miles from here, that actually owns that Suburban. Really neat to see this. This is kind of a cool place in history as far as 1964 and the Beatles go. Now this is downtown Walnut Ridge, and they've got quite the setup here, remembering exactly what happened. They've got silhouettes of the Beatles, a little park area, and there's like one whole block of downtown that's basically remembering all of that. There's posters, you can see the planes, and see them walking from the planes. But the road that leads from Walnut Ridge to Alton, Missouri, where the actual ranch was, they actually renamed that, and it's called the Rock and Roll Highway. Kind of an old-fashioned downtown here with the old barber shop, the grill. You can see cutouts of Yellow Submarine and the Beatles. And then you look across the way, there's more murals on the wall. But every year they have a festival here that is in September. And I think Ringo's actually come to it before. I'm not sure who all has been to it, but I'm pretty sure I saw something online where Ringo had actually attended it. This is a place called the Studio. They got big posters with the Beatles and Walnut Ridge, and a dedication of the Rock and Roll Highway, which is Highway 67. Pretty neat little experience here. So I sure hope you've enjoyed this, guys. This has been a lot of fun chasing down this one. And thank you so much for watching.